Penelope. Thank you so much for joining us today.
How are you? Thank you so
I'm
much.
doing well. You've called Michael Mann's approach to making Ferrari more artisanal. And I'm wondering how this influenced the vibe on set compared to other films you've worked on.
I feel like it's very similar to the way that Pedro Almodovar works, because they are both um, very obsessed about each detail, and I always really respect that. I never think, oh, that is too much, or the material of the button of the thing. Like it makes total sense to me that 1 millimeter left or right in the camera. He was setting up a shot with me in Modena at 42 degrees in under the sun in the middle of the street, and I know that millimeter matters to him. And when you see the movie, all of those decisions, big or small, they will matter. So I respect a lot that way of working, and I feel like cinema cannot lose those values and that rhythm and that process, because it's such a privilege to be able to make a film. And when things get into that speed of, I don't know, that doesn't matter, that in the result, I think doesn't have the same magic. So that artisanal way that I was talking about, with Michael, I always say that as a compliment, because he's very tough and he's very demanding, but he gives everything. So that is actually a blessing to have somebody that thinks that you can give more. So maybe you're gonna do 30 takes one day, and the next day he has it, and you're gonna do four. That makes sense.
Yes, it does. Um, I also saw that you were able to do a lot of research for this role. You got to visit Laura's home and you spoke to her doctor at one point. Um, have there been any other characters that you've played that you've wished you had had such research opportunities available to you, even if they were fictional?
I always save time for that process. Maybe not in the years when I was doing 4 movies per year, and that was a crazy rhythm that was only for that time. But now maybe I make one per year, sometimes two if they are not too long. And I always find the time to do that research and work with the dialect coach or whatever language, whatever accent it is, but also investigate. And if it's a fictional character, which is most of the time, because I've only played real characters 3 times, um, you have to create that soup with all the ingredients that you have to find, and get to understand who that other being is. And it is my favorite part of the process sometimes.
Can imagine that's the most fun. You get to play around with stuff. And speaking of that, the different characters you've played over the years, what do you think would happen if Laura ever met another Italian that you've played, Carla from Nine?
Well, I don't know. They are so different. But
Hmm.
actually, Michael told me that Laura, in her 20s, she used to be a cabaret dancer. So maybe they are
Oh,
not that different deep in their soul. That's funny. I never thought of that.
that would be fun. I could see them in a dance class together.
Can you imagine? It's kind of sad to imagine Laura dancing in those years and how she lost all her
Mm,
light and brightness, and she's half dead. She's walking around half dead from the loss of a child. And it's very strong to imagine that was the same woman that Michael describes as dancing and having all these dreams, and such a happy person with hope. She has lost all of that.
yeah, it's a lot. I remember you had said that you when researching Laura, you had this image of a pebble in her shoe for how uncomfortable and out of place she felt. Um, have you ever felt that you had a bit of a pebble in your shoe walking around in the world? And
Anytime.
what would that be? Yeah.
And many times in many situations, but those situations are crucial to keep learning and to keep getting to know yourself. So they are always welcome, and also we cannot avoid them. So what can we do? But for Laura, she's just like very out of place, and being a woman around all those men in that time. Not that it has changed so much, because you can find women in similar situations everywhere around the world today. Um, but it became very a big. I was very grateful that Michael was choosing me to give this woman a voice, a woman that didn't have one at all, and that represents so many women in the world that still today are very suppressed and by society and very invalidated constantly. And really, that's the truth. It has really not changed that much. So characters like this mean a lot to me, and also to Michael, even if he doesn't. He never explained this to me as, oh, I want to do this love letter to these women, but that's what he was doing. Because I think deep inside he's like a huge romantic and very, he's so respectful to women, and he's surrounded by women in his family that are Michael can be very bossy and very strong, but in the family, I think probably he is happy that the situation is different because surrounded by so many strong women, and you can see the way he looks at them, the way he talks to them, and the kindness. And of course, he's very, very tough, like sometimes, but he knows what he's doing, and he gives so much on the set every single day, and he expects the same thing from everyone else in every department. So that's also something that I much rather have a director like that than have somebody that is happy with anything, whatever you do is gonna say, yeah, fine, let's move on. I don't think that's the way. Like, I don't think somebody that would be so relaxed about things would deserve to be making a movie. It's tough and it's difficult and it's a teamwork, but it's like a miracle to be able to start a movie and finish it. I think he's very aware of that, and it's like an amazing work ethic example.
And all that passion and hard work comes through on the screen. And that's our time with Penelope. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been wonderful talking with you.
Thank you.